This here is going to be a video on how to paint Plaguebearers of Nurgle. As you can see here, these are the finished product, and they are definitely a little bit beyond tabletop standard. So if you want to know how to get here from base gray, then watch this video and hopefully we'll be able to help you. So this is a video on how to paint Plaguebearers. So we've got 10 Plaguebearers here now, and we've got them primed with Corax White, and it's just a normal rattle can, same as we use in almost every one of our videos so far. So the first thing we're going to do now that we've got them all primed is just to give them 2 really good coats of Athonian Camo Shade. So that'll get a really good green base layer on them, a nice slimy layer, and then from there we'll start putting some details in. So we'll do that now, and then we'll be right back. So this is how they look after the first coating of Camo Shade, and it is noticeable, but we're going to do a second coat on just to make it really, really green. And yeah, we'll come back as soon as that's done. So these are our models after the second coat of Athonian Camo Shade. As you can see, they're very green, slimy, putrid, exactly what we want. So now for our next thing, what we're going to do is take a little bit of Mephiston Red. What we're going to do is find any locations where there is an open wound or a gaping wound, and we're just going to take a fine detail brush and shade in those areas, such as this spot here, and the one above it, and the one over here, and we will do that throughout the rest of the models. So this is how our units look once we've done the Mephiston Red, and as you can see, we've hit all of the spots of open wounds. So now what we're going to do is take a little bit of unger flesh, and we're going to go over each of the pock spots. So all of the bulbs and all of the pustules, just like so, with a very fine detail brush. So this is how we look after we finished our unger flesh, and you see all the pustules are standing out quite nicely. And then what we're going to do is take a little bit of lead belcher as our base, and we're going to start doing the swords, the plague swords. So just like so, being careful not to hit anything else. We're just going to clean them all up like that. Give them a base coat of lead belcher, just like this. So we'll do the rest of the units, and then we'll meet back here. So this is after the lead belcher swords are done. So we're going to focus now on the standard bearer, and it's got 3 heads on it, on posts. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take a base of Rackart flesh, and we're just going to coat those heads like so. Now on the standard bearer's staff, which is made out of wood, what we'll do is a base coat of dryad bark, and we'll just put that up and down the entire staff size, and it'll be a good base coat. Now that the staff is done, what we're going to do is the metallic decoration at the top. We're going to use a base of balthasar gold, being careful not to go over the heads we previously painted. We're going to do the entire standard, as well as the detail at the bottom here. With our flag bearer pretty much finished now, what we're going to do is a little layer of Xandri dust, and that'll be the base layer of the bone and teeth. So with a fine detail brush, I'm going to go over all the teeth, as well as the ones in the head. there's him finished. We're going to do the other models, and we'll meet back here again in a few minutes. So this is our units now that the Xandri dust is done, and you can see the horn is there now, and the teeth are slightly illuminated. So what we're going to do now is start shading. All of our base colors are now done, and we're going to start with reckling flesh shade. So this is going to add a red tinge. We're going to do it on everything that had the unger flesh in it. So all the pustules, all that stuff, it's going to give them a nice red glow. As well as anything that has an open wound that's red, we're going to definitely do those areas. Now that we finished with the flesh shade, which we also used to do the heads on this totem, we're going to switch over to Agrak's Earthshade. So that's going to be used on the horns, anything made of brass, the wood, and all of the swords. So the Agrak's Earthshade is going to be used on the sword and the horns, as well as the teeth, to provide some shade there. Just like so. On the standard, it's also going to be used on all of the brass, as well as the wood. And the bell. So that's what will be done with her shade. And we'll do the rest of the models and then come back here in a minute. For our next step, what we're going to do is take a very, very dry brush of Emperor's Children and just go over some of the organs hanging out there like so. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take just a little bit of Nurgle green, and we're going to do a dry brush highlight just on the edge of all of the wounds. Like so. So now that we finished that, what we're going to take is a very, very, very watered down dryad bark, almost to the point of it being a wash. We're just going to do the very tip of the horns. Like so. We'll lay them down just so the color doesn't run. Finally, we're going to take the standard bearer, and we're going to do a little highlight layer of brass scorpion. And just a dry brush over the top and over the bell, just to light it up a little bit from the light source above. Just like that. Finally, on the standard bearer, the three heads both have open wounds on the back, which we're going to fill in now. And then we will shade those with Nuln oil just to darken them up a little bit. Finally, with a very fine detail brush, what we're going to do is take some Uriel yellow, and with a very, very fine brush, I'll put the eye in place. So I'm going to do that for the rest of them and be back here. Finally, what we're going to do next is taking a layer of Ushabti bone. We're going to go over all of the teeth. Just a thin little highlight layer. Just like so. We'll do that for all of the other models. So now that the teeth are finished, what we're going to do is take a little bit of Abaddon Black as well as a gloss medium, and we're going to redo all of the base. We're then going to flock those with sand, and we'll bring back here when both of those are done. What we're going to do is just add a couple more details. The bronze standard here, we're going to add some nicolette oxide, which is basically just some rust color. And what we're going to do for that is we're going to brush it on and then wipe it off. Get it brushed on there a little bit. Then we're just going to wipe it off, clearing off the high points. And do the same thing on the back. And we'll just leave that to dry. The last couple of steps we've made is we used a white to highlight the bandages across the face, over the mouth and eyes of the heads, and then we used a bit of unger flesh to bring out the pustules that have sprouted on these heads. Now what we're going to do is take a little bit of brass scorpion here and just re-highlight the surfaces that it got corrupted by the rust that we put on. Like so. So now the models have all been clear coated using a Krylon matte finish rattle can spray, which should theoretically finish them, except that we're going to add one more post sealant step, and that is to use the technical Nurgle's Rot paint. Anything with an open wound like that, we're going to add a touch of the Nurgle's Rot to it. And these here are the finished units. Everything is done. The Nurgle's rod is dried. And you can see that they look actually really, really good. So I hope yours turn out just as good as this. If you're interested in doing some, I hope this guide helps you. And if you did find it a help, please feel free to like and share, and subscribe to the channel. We will see you again next time when we do another Warhammer unit.